Good morning, everybody. My name is Cameron Stephen, and I'd like to dedicate a speech to anybody that's had a loss in their life, especially a really good friend of mine in Vancouver that just recently had a loss of someone very, very dear to him. God bless my brother. Today, my speech is going to be about near-death experience, loss, and another way of looking at things, and some supernatural. In 2013, I was an entrepreneur, nothing like I am now. I was going 100 miles an hour, and a lot of stress in my life. I was successful, but not successful. And everything ended up blowing up in my face. I was sick for months and months and months, and ended up having a heart attack, 3 strokes, 5 seizures, and a deflated lung, and a 3.8 centimeter tumor that was attached to my heart. And I was in a coma, fighting for my life. The doctors did MRI me. It was like a snowstorm. They told my family that I'd be lucky to move my head left to right, that I might be paralyzed, blind, and not be able to feed myself. Not good news for my family and friends. So they're going through a real rough time in their life. They almost took me off life support because they said I had no brain activity. But I got a green light, and they could remove the 3.8 centimeter tumor. So I go into the coma, and it was an induced coma for 5 weeks. And when they got the green light that they could actually remove this 3.8 centimeter tumor, I go into the surgery. Didn't even know what was happening to me. I'm in the operating room, and all of a sudden, I'm over top of the doctors, and I'm looking at myself. And I'm like, what is happening to me? This is crazy. It's like I was floating over top. The doctor or the nurse was a guy. He was a slender fella. He had a mask on. It was hard to tell. But then I seen him. They painted me with the iodine. And then they cut me the scalpel. And then they cut me with the saw. Now I didn't feel a pain or anything like that. But all of a sudden, in that operating room, it went pitch black in there. And there was rave music playing. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I didn't know what was happening to me. It was really scary. And then, all of a sudden, I went into this other place. It was like meadows and just peaceful and lots of love. It was unbelievable. But I was scared. I thought I was in heaven. And I was talking to something. It was like a being or something. It wasn't a person. But I said to them, I go, I gotta get home to my daughter. I got stuff I gotta do. Boom. And they're wheeling me down a hallway. And everybody has shadows over their faces. And I go into the ICU. And I caught the worst infection you could possibly imagine. I was fighting for my life again. But I beat the infection, and I got through that. And the rest has been quite a journey on the way. But about 3 years later, I ended up falling into this crazy depression. There's a lot of things happening to me, but I went through this crazy depression that I didn't know what was happening to me. So, everybody's worried about me. I grow a beard. I'm getting worse by the month. Worse and worse and worse. Everybody thought my cheese fell off my cracker. You know, I can understand. But anyways, it kept getting worse and worse. And when I hit December, my son was going to be born. Right? And he ended up being born on December 27th. I left the place I was renting because in that place, I had a lot of bad energy in there. And when I went to the hospital, I was okay. And my son was born, beautiful, beautiful boy. And when I went back to that house, I fell back into this depression again. And it was just getting worse and worse. And when I hit January, probably around the 7th or 8th, I ended up crying a full 24 hours. I was looking in the mirror going, what has just happened to me? Why am I crying like this? I had no idea what was happening to me. I was calling people, trying to find out what was happening to me. Everybody thought I lost my mind. And I didn't know what had happened to me. And then, when I hit December the 27th or 28th, I just started feeling better all of a sudden. Like I couldn't walk or anything for months. I was in a real bad, bad depression. And I couldn't understand what was happening to me. Either could anybody else that was around me. And I just started feeling better. And a close friend of mine stopped in. And she seen me. And she said, Cameron, you need help. And just looking at me disgusted. And I'm like, this is the best I've felt in so long. And they left, and they're pretty upset. They left. They're worried about me. So I ended up going for a walk. The first time I walked in a long time. And when I went for that walk, there's one neighbor that I talked to on the whole street, that this place I was renting. And I ran into him when I came out of my house. He said, hey Cam, did you hear what happened? I said, no man. I said, I've been in a bad depression. I haven't been able to walk or anything. I don't know what was happening to me. I just started feeling better. He said, my boarder committed suicide. Now I was like, wow. I said, I'm sorry for what you went through. And I left him and started walking down. I lived by walking trails and stuff. So I was going down into the woods. And when I went into the woods, as soon as I walked into that woods, something overcame me. And it was like I was in sync with the nature and the animals and everything. It was poetry. It was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. I can't even explain. After what I went through for months and months, feeling this terrible feeling. And all of a sudden, I'm in this bliss, in this beautifulness. And after I walked through Shuby, and everything was just beautiful. I can't even explain how much bliss there was. And when I left, I went up to my house I was renting. And I started feeling terribly bad because I actually felt the suffering this guy was going through. I truly did. I felt everything he was going through. I mean, I cried a whole day and didn't know why. So I was meditating 5 to 7 times a day. It was the only thing that was making me feel better at all. When I was going through this thing, I didn't understand what it was. So when I got back from this spiritual walk, or whatever it was that I experienced, I go up to the place that I was renting. And I truly felt bad for this guy. He was 27 years old and had a 4-year-old son. And I went and started meditating again, not knowing anything, not thinking anything. I was never like this before. Nothing like this. Near-death experience totally changes you. So I go and I meditate again and I call out, not thinking anything at all. And I call out. And I said, I'm really sorry what you went through, because I felt it. I truly felt it. And my body went insane. I had this energy that was just vibrating me like this. It was like a poltergeist thing. I know it sounds crazy. It scared the crap out of me. I stopped the meditation and I said, did that even happen? So the next day, I wasn't scared anymore. So I go and do it. When I did it the second time, I got it again. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This energy going through my body is just vibrating. And it was crazy. And so I called out and said, is there anything I could do to help you? Nobody talked to me, but my body would just zap full of energy. And after I was done, I had a thought to go look this up on the computer. Now, my vision is impaired from my 3 strokes. And I see half a letter is half a number. So I had an app on my phone called Voice On that would read me the internet. Now I don't know why, I wasn't like this before, or anything like this. So I look it up on the internet, and it says when someone commits suicide, that the person that owns that house has to forgive that person for the soul to go to the universe. So the next day, the 3rd day, in the morning, I go up to the neighbor, knock on his door. I say, you know, you're going to think I'm crazy. I'm just planting this seed. I looked this up, and when someone commits suicide, the person that owns that house has to forgive that person for the soul to go to the universe. I said, I don't know nothing about this. Don't think I'm crazy. I looked this up. So he said, you know, Cam, that makes sense. I said, I'm just planting a seed, and I left. And that was the 3rd day. I go back to the house, right just across the street from me. I go back to the house. I meditate. I got it again. This is the 3rd day. I got the energy in my body. 4th day. I go to do it. I don't got it. I tried it once. I tried it twice. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I don't got it. I said, I'm going across. I go across the door, across the street. I knock on the guy's door. He opens the door. I look at him. I said, you forgave him, didn't you? He said, yeah, Cam, I did. And I gave him a big hug. And I went, wow, nobody dies. Nobody dies. And a year after that, because I'm just trying to figure myself out. Now, because of my near-death experience, I absorb people's energy and people's emotions. A clairsentient, like an empath. But I didn't understand that before. So I ended up going to this medium a year later to talk about my experience. And when I went in, the medium says to me, my angels told me that you have a neurological problem with your brain and that's why your vision's affected. I went, wow. How could she know that? I don't have Facebook. There's no way she could have known that. So I start talking to her. And my whole body is full of energy. Again, not the same, but I'm full of energy. I said, I feel this all the time. Like when I go places, when I run into people, I feel this energy. But this is on a different level, the guy that committed suicide. And she said, this is where spirit comes, in this room. I'm like, wow, can I ever feel it? So she starts telling me things that just, it's ringing the bells off. I'm like, wow, she knows this stuff. And the guy that committed suicide talks to me through her. And my body has so much energy in it. And he thanks me. And I bawled, I cried. I was like, this is such a beautiful experience. He thanked me for releasing him. Now, I never would have thought about this stuff before. Never in a million years. I would have thought your cheese fell off your cracker. But I experienced it 100,000,000%. I can tell you, nobody dies. Nobody dies. So now I've been starting to connect myself in with things and meditate and all that stuff. At the time I asked that medium, I said, am I an empath? Because I felt what this guy was going through. She said, you're not an empath. You're a psychic empath. You're a clairsentient. What is that? So I've been researching that and find out about this stuff. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Now everybody thinks I'm crazy, but this happened. I experienced it. And nobody dies. It's energy. It goes to the universe. 100,000,000%. If anybody wants to talk to me or help guide through anything, I'm always here. Cameron Stephen, 902-414-5655. God bless.